Hello, kids! Welcome to our English class. Today, we are going to analyze literary texts as expressions of individual communal values within structural context. Specifically, we are going to explain sensory details, identify importance of sensory details in writing, and write a short poem that contains images. Let us do a short recall of our previous lesson about poetry. Select the correct element of poetry being described. Are you ready? Let's start. This pertains to the use of descriptive language to create vivid sensory experience for the reader. Is it form, imagery, sound devices, figurative language, or theme? Correct. That is imagery. It is the central idea, message, or underlying meaning of a poem, often expressed through recurring images, symbols, or motifs. Is it form, imagery, sound devices, figurative language, or theme? That's right, theme. How about the one that adds depth, nuance, and emotion to poetry by going beyond literal meanings? Form, imagery, sound devices, figurative language, or theme? Very good! Figurative language. If you can still remember our lesson last time, what are the common figurative language used in a poem? Awesome! Those are simile, metaphor, personification, and hyperbole. This refers to however the poem is put together, like its structure and design. Is it form, imagery, sound devices, figurative language, or theme? Good job! The answer is form. What do you call the techniques that create auditory effects and enhance the musicality of a poem? This includes rhyme, rhythm, alliteration, assonance, consonance, and onomatopoeia. Form, imagery, sound devices, figurative language, or theme? Great job! Sound devices. You all did a very good job, kids. You really learned a lot from the previous lesson. This time, let us have a quick activity. Please close your eyes and listen carefully to the following sounds. Imagine where the sound is taking you. Ready? Let's listen to the sound. Where do you think are you if you hear this sound? Right, the beach. How do you feel upon hearing the sound? Let's listen to the second audio. Again, please close your eyes and listen carefully. Can you describe what do you think is happening in that audio recording? Right, it's the noise of a market where people are busy buying and selling goods. You may even imagine the smell of the fish around you. Based on the audio, how were you able to identify the environment where it took place? Correct. You use your sense of hearing and your schema or prior knowledge of the location. Do you know what we call each sensory modalities or the different channels through which we receive or perceive sensory information from the environment? Okay, let's try to check your knowledge. Complete the missing letters to find the answer. What sensory modality is this? Right, visual. What about this? What sensory modality is described in this picture? Correct, auditory or the use of our ears. How about this one? Very good, tactile. It appears to our sense of touch. What sensory modality is shown in this picture? That's right, olfactory, or the sense of smell. And last, what sensory modality is this? Awesome! It's gustatory. It appeals to our sense of taste. Good work, kids! Did you know that we also use the sensory modality in a poem? It is through one of the basic elements of poetry called imagery. The 5 sensory imagery are visual imagery, auditory imagery, tactile imagery, olfactory imagery, and gustatory imagery. Visual imagery includes visual descriptions. Physical attributes including color, size, shape, lightness, darkness, patterns, shadows, and shade are all parts of visual imagery. Example: tiny emerald leaves drifted in the dark night. This line appeals to your sense of sight because it describes the leaves using the word tiny and emerald. Tiny pertains to the size of the leaves, and emerald is the color of the leaves. Can you spot another word in that line that appeals to your sense of sight? Correct, the word dark. The adjective dark describes the night. Auditory imagery pertains to the way things sound. This could be music, voices, or general noises that we hear. For example, waves crashed upon the shore. The word crashed describes the sound of how the waves loudly hit the shore. Tactile imagery describes how you can feel. This includes textures and many sensations a human being experiences when touching something. Differences in temperature is also part of tactile imagery. Like the line, "The warm sand slipped through my toes, smooth and comforting." What do you think are the adjectives used that appeals to your sense of touch? Right, the words warm, smooth, and comforting. The word warm describes the temperature of the sand. The adjective smooth and comforting describes how the person feels when the sand slipped through his toes. For olfactory imagery, scent is one of the most direct triggers of memory and emotion, but can be difficult to write about, since taste and smell are so closely linked. You'll sometimes find the same words, such as sweet, used to describe both. For example, her perfume lingered a delicate blend of roses and vanilla. This line describes how perfume having similar scent with roses and vanilla. Gustatory imagery. This describes what you can taste and includes flavors. This also includes the 5 basic tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami, as well as the textures and sensations tied to the act of eating. Like in the line, "The spicy salsa ignited fiery kick in every bite." This line described the salsa as having a spicy flavor. In addition, it also includes a vivid mental picture of how spicy it is through the words "ignited fiery kick in every bite." That's the description of a sensation tied to the act of eating the salsa. So, why do you think we have to learn these sensory imagery? Remember, an effective creative work gives a mental picture to the reader. It makes the reader imagine and feel what is being read. This spices up the reading experience. This time, let us practice how you all can be effective creative writers through the activity Exploring the Senses. Collaborate with your group and come up with at least 10 words or adjectives that appeal to the senses. Be ready to present that in class. Group 1 is assigned for visual imagery. Group 2 is olfactory imagery. Group 3 will work on gustatory imagery. Group 4, please do the auditory imagery. And Group 5 will have to work on the tactile imagery. Now go to your groups and start doing this activity. Here are the possible descriptive words you can use in describing using your senses. For visual imagery, you may use colorful, wrinkly, tiny, bright, radiant, flashy, huge, and dull. For auditory imagery, you may use squeaky, silent, faint, whisper, loud, rustle, mutter, and smash. You may use these words for tactile imagery: cold, hairy, soft, sharp, moist, slimy, hard, and velvety. When using olfactory imagery, you may use the words such as flowery, aromatic, foul, burnt, fragrant, pungent, savory, and fishy. For gustatory imagery, you may use these words: juicy, creamy, minty, bitter, sour, zesty, flavorless, and buttery. Now that you know the sensory imagery and the appropriate adjectives to use in describing things vividly, let us try to analyze the poem The Anchored Ship by Jose Garcia Villa. The Anchored Ship by Jose Garcia Villa. At night in the lazy bay, the anchored ship drowses its lines and my mind drifts away. The water hums beneath, the anchored ship steers, and I, in my quiet way, dream of places and their scents. Coolness and the deep, with the gentle whisper of leaves, soft as a lover's breath, touched by moonlight's warmth. Analyze the poem by answering the following guide questions. Number 1. What are the sensory details present in the poem? Number 2. How does the imagery of the anchored ship contribute to the overall mood of the poem? 3. What emotions does the poet evoke through the description of the anchored ship and its surroundings? 4. In what ways does the poet's choice of language enhance the imagery? And 5. What themes can be identified in the poem, and how they are developed through the imagery and language? Great job for being able to answer this activity! Now, it's your time to shine. Look for a partner and write a simple poem using sensory images. In order for you to do so, please follow this guide in writing a poem using sensory images. First, choose a theme or subject. Select a central theme or subject of your poem, such as place, an emotion, or a moment in time. Second, brainstorm sensory details. You might want to jot down specific sensory details related to your theme. Think about how the subject can be experienced through sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Next, create vivid imagery. Write detailed descriptions to evoke strong images. Focus on painting clear picture with words. Then, write the poem. Begin your poem with a vivid image or sensory detail to grab the reader's attention. Use a mix of sensory images to build the scene, evoke emotions, and develop your theme. End with a memorable image or thought that leaves a lasting impression. And last, revise your sensory effectiveness. Read your poem aloud to ensure that the sensory details are vivid and engaging. Make sure the imagery is clear and effectively conveys the intended sensations. You might want to edit for more precise and evocative language if needed. Also, please be guided by this rubric in grading your poem. You all did a very good job, kids. See you again next lesson.